Welcome to the Explainer. Ever wonder how sportsbooks really make their money? You know, it's not as simple as just winning more bets than they lose. Today, we're going to peel back the curtain and really get into the secret behind their success.
So you gotta ask, is a sportsbook just a casino with different games? I mean, on the surface, it sure looks that way. But when you really dig in, and that's exactly what we're about to do, you start to see that how they make their money, well, it's way more complex and a whole lot more unpredictable than just a simple game of chance.
Okay, this right here shows you the huge difference. A casino's edge, that's a mathematical guarantee. It's a money-making machine built on pure, unchangeable probability. But a sportsbook's edge? That's more like trying to forecast the weather in the middle of a hurricane. It's just a plan, a theory, that has to constantly change and adapt to the absolute chaos of a live game.
Right, so if the edge isn't a guarantee, then what in the world is it? Let's start by just blowing up the single biggest myth about sports betting.
And here is the absolute key to everything. A sportsbook has zero control over the actual game. They can't influence a single penalty, a single shot, nothing. Their entire strategy, their entire profit is built on one thing and one thing only, the price they set on a bet, the odds.
And to really get how they set that price, we need to learn to speak their language. It all boils down to three key numbers that, honestly, most people get confused.
Okay, think of it like this. It's a three-step process. First, you have the plan. That's the theoretical house edge they're aiming for. Then, you have the method. That's how they actually bake that plan into the odds, which is called the overround. And finally, you get the result, the actual cash they walk away with, which is the hold.
So let's start with the house edge. This is the dream, right? This is the sportsbook's perfect world scenario. It's the profit they hope to make on a game if, and this is a big if, all the bets come in perfectly balanced. But like it says, it's just a forecast, it's not a promise.
So how do they build that hopeful profit in? Well, they use something called the overround. What this means is they basically tweak the odds so that if you add up the probabilities of every possible outcome, it adds up to more than 100%. That little bit extra, that slice over 100%, that's their profit margin, built right in. It's the clever method behind their whole plan.
And that brings us to the hold. This is the bottom line. This is what really matters. After the game is over, the final whistle blows, and all the winning bets are paid out, the hold is the percentage of all the money wagered that the sportsbook actually gets to keep. This is where theory meets reality.
Okay, so we've got the theory down, but what happens when that nice, neat theory crashes head-on into the messy, unpredictable reality of a live sporting event? Well, that's when things get really interesting.
Let's use a real-world example. Picture a massive Premier League match. The sportsbook sets its odds, carefully building in their target 6% profit margin. In their perfect world, they're basically already counting that money.
See, in that perfect world, the betting would look just like this, a perfectly balanced book. Roughly a third of the money on the home team to win, a third on a draw, and a third on the away team. This is the operator's absolute dream. It's a guaranteed profit no matter who wins. But reality is almost never that clean. What usually happens is something more like this. Public hype, a star player on a hot streak, some big news story, whatever it is, it causes a flood of money onto just one outcome. Now look at that. 80% of all the cash is on the away team. This is what they call a lopsided book. And for a sports book, it is a total nightmare. And what happens if that really popular outcome actually wins? Bam! The sportsbook gets absolutely hammered. They've got to pay out that huge pile of cash, and that nice little 6% profit they were planning on, gone, it vanishes. In fact, it turns into a painful 15% loss. And that right there is the brutal difference between a plan on paper and what happens in the real world. This is exactly why the smartest sportsbooks don't see the edge as some fixed number. No, they see it as a lever. It's a strategic tool that they are constantly adjusting to manage their risk and, frankly, to steer the betting in a direction that's better for them. And this table shows you exactly how they pull that lever. Just look at top-tier football. The margin, that overround, is pretty tight, right? Between 4 and 7%. They have to do that to offer competitive prices and attract smart bettors. But then, look down at something like parlays or those novelty political bets. Whoa, the margin skyrockets to 15%, even 25% or more. Why? Because they know the people placing those bets are less focused on the price and more focused on the dream of a massive payday. And believe it or not, the adjustments get even more personal than that.
The edge can actually change based on where you live, the kind of promotions you're getting, and even the type of bettor you are. So, for example, they might spot a VIP who bets big for fun and probably won't even notice a slightly worse price. That player gets odds with a higher margin. But for a really sharp, price-sensitive pro, they'll offer much tighter odds to keep that player's business. It's basically micro-targeting, but on a massive global scale.
You know, what all of this really proves is that running a sportsbook is about so much more than just math. It's a high-stakes game of human psychology, of strategy, and lightning-fast reactions.
I love this quote because it sums it all up perfectly. The fancy mathematical model, that's just the blueprint. It's the people, the human trading teams who actually have to build the house and turn that theoretical edge into cold, hard cash.
So, meet the trading teams. You can think of them as the guardians of the edge. These are the folks glued to their screens, watching every single bet, every market shift, all in real time. They're the ones making those split-second calls to manage risk, to outsmart professional bettors, and ultimately to protect their company's bottom line.
So yeah, you can forget that casino analogy. Running a sportsbook is much, much more like running a high-frequency trading desk on Wall Street. It's an incredibly fast-paced, high-pressure world where millions, even billions, are on the line with every single tick of the clock.
So, let me leave you with this one final thought. The next time you're about to place a bet, are you really just predicting a game? Or are you actually stepping into the ring, going head-to-head with a whole team of experts whose entire job, day in and day out, is to outthink you? Ponder that for a second, because when you see it that way, it changes the entire game.